This sound is not loud. It is compressed. It does not fill space. It strikes it. At the source, it ranks among the most intense biological emissions ever measured. In water, this is not noise. It is a physical constraint. At very close range, the body has no time to understand. Tissue vibrates. Balance collapses. Pain arrives before fear. This signal doesn't come from a motor. It does not come from a weapon, and it is produced by a living animal. And this is not an accident. The most powerful sound in the living world is not a weapon. It is proof this body operates in an environment where ours could not survive. Welcome to the world of the sperm whale. A world without usable light. A world where seeing is wasted effort. At this depth, vision no longer keeps you alive. You have to sense space before you can see it. The sperm whale did not solve this problem with speed or aggression. It solved it by accepting the most extreme physical constraints in the ocean. The mass of its head is not decorative. It makes up nearly 1/3 of its body. Inside, the spermaceti and nasal structures form an acoustic system unmatched among vertebrates. Sound is generated, compressed, directed, not to attack, but to perceive, in a world where light never returns. At the source, these clicks reach nearly 236 decibels underwater. A number that's hard to picture. Converted to air, it crosses the threshold where human eardrums can rupture. Not because the sound lasts, but because it is extremely brief, concentrated, directional. This is not a wall of noise. It is an impulse. For a long time, we thought we knew the sperm whale. We watched it breathe at the surface, float, migrate. So we assumed we understood the animal. Slow, solitary, primitive. But that picture did not come from science. It came from what we could see. But everything happening below the surface was missing from the story. It begins with a single breath, not preparation, a decision. The surface falls away. Light disappears. Temperature drops. Pressure rises without interruption. In a human, the body would resist. In the sperm whale, it folds inward. The lungs compress. Air stops being central. Oxygen migrates into blood and muscle. Every muscle fiber is saturated with myoglobin. The heart slows. Circulation narrows to what matters. Everything else waits. The whale does not fight pressure. It descends with it. At 1,000 meters, vision stops being relevant. This is where another relationship with the world begins. For a human, depth is a number. For the sperm whale, it is territory. A vertical universe, organized in layers. The first 100 meters still carry light, then twilight, then total darkness. As the whale descends, life thins out, forms change. Density drops, pressure crushes what we recognize. At 2,000 meters, human submersibles would become unstable. At 3,000, they hit their limits. The sperm whale, however, continues. To depths, we do not measure precisely. Something waits there. It crosses these layers like a biological satellite, guided only by sound and memory. But this world is not the one we see. At the surface, everything feels different. Light returns, air is available, movement slows. This is where we see sperm whales. They breathe, they float, they gather. This is where our cameras work, where observation is possible, where images exist. And because it is visible, this is what we call their life. But this is not where they live. A sperm whale stays at the surface only a few minutes, just long enough to breathe. Everything else happens below. What we see here is an interval, a parenthesis between dives. The surface creates an illusion of control. It is lit, accessible, but it says nothing about how these animals actually live. What we film here is only a passage, a moment between absences. As soon as the whale descends, human observation collapses. Sensors go blind. Machines reach their mechanical limits. At these depths, cameras fail. Data returns fragmented. Incomplete tracks, estimated durations, isolated sounds. We reconstruct from traces. We infer. We assume. We study an abyssal animal without ever following it into the place where it actually lives. Most of its existence remains out of reach. In the abyss, time does not work as it does at the surface. Hunting is not pursuit. It is waiting. The sperm whale descends. It listens. It slows. Clicks spread apart. Then return. Sometimes nothing happens for long minutes. Energy is conserved. Every movement is calculated. In this world, impatience kills. In total darkness, speed is risk. Forcing the encounter often means missing it. The sperm whale does not rush. It lets the world reveal itself. Sometimes sperm whales stop. They do not freeze abruptly. They become still. Massive bodies, vertical, suspended in darkness. Nothing moves, no visible effort. Time continues. They barely do. We sometimes observe them like this. From a distance, from the surface, in fragments. They stay there. Minutes pass, sometimes longer. They are not hunting. They are not fleeing. Nothing suggests a specific destination. They simply occupy the water column. We do not know exactly what is happening, whether they are resting, whether they are sleeping, or whether they are sensing something our instruments cannot detect. Even in stillness, their bodies remain active. Pressure is maintained. The brain stays engaged. The inner world continues. This is not human rest. It is a state for which we have no word. They do nothing. And yet, nothing here is wasted. In total darkness, sound becomes space. Clicks originate deep within the nasal system. They pass through spermaceti, a waxy substance that acts as an acoustic lens. The signal is focused, directed, then projected forward. Echo returns through the lower jaw, delivered directly to the inner ear. This system does not show the world, it rebuilds it. At very close range, these pulses can become physically intense, but their primary role is perception. For a time, scientists believed this sound was a weapon. The idea seemed logical. If an animal produces the most powerful sound in the living world, it is to kill. But the data told a different story. The closer the sperm whale gets to its prey, the more it reduces the power of its clicks. Behavior incompatible with a weapon. On the whale's skin, marks sometimes remain. Regular circles, suction scars lined with hardened rings, traces of an invertebrate we still barely observe. The giant squid. We know these encounters by their consequences. Scars, fragments, beaks recovered from stomachs. The fight unfolds where no camera descends. This is where biology meets myth. The sound does not kill the squid. it makes it detectable. In a black ocean, locating a single living shape is already victory. There are things this film will never show, not because we don't know where to look, but because we cannot go there. No human has ever observed a sperm whale hunt at 3,000 meters from beginning to end, never in its full continuity. Cameras fail, submersibles lose stability, robots return fragments and then disappear. What happens where pressure crushes, steel stays off screen. We reconstruct scenes we will probably never witness. What we do not see opens a space outside our frames, a world governed by different rhythms, different constraints. For the sperm whale, there is nothing to explain. It moves there, it feeds there, it pauses there. Strangeness begins when we try to project our reference points. We observe from the surface, we listen at a distance, we measure what returns. But what matters happens elsewhere, where light never comes back, where sound becomes structure. This world does not wait for our understanding. It existed before. It will continue after. In April 2015, in the Gulf of Mexico, a remotely operated vehicle descended, beyond 600 meters. Its name was Hercules. That day, a sperm whale appeared, calm, curious, unexpected. It was one of the rare moments humans glimpsed a sperm whale at that depth. And yet, even there, most of it remained invisible. For centuries, humans did not see a living animal. They saw a resource, spermaceti, a clear oil, stable, valuable. It was used to light entire cities, lubricated machines, fueled the Industrial Revolution. More than 1 million sperm whales were killed. Entire clans disappeared. Sonic cultures were reduced to silence. In 1986, commercial whaling ended, not through understanding, but because almost nothing remained. We have sent machines beyond Earth. But here, in the depths, we remain visitors. This world functions without us, and it will continue, whether we understand it or not.